Hey, it's Johnny Manny from Johnny's house.
Look, we've got you covered with the hits and what's going on in the city beautiful.
And Mark, he's got everything you need to know in the sports world, with maybe a touch of sarcasm.
This is the Beat of Sports with Marc Daniels. So, Chris, let me share how the morning went for me, okay?
Okay.
We'll get to last night with UCF loss and that. So I went to bed about 12:30 or so, maybe 12:45.
Okay.
And I get a text from Chris Vasquez this morning at, let's see here,
A little before 7.
the text was at 6:32,
So halfway to 7.
and that woke me up.
Oh, did it?
I don't know how yesterday I ended up turning my alarm off on my phone, because the only time that I would been using the clock app is when I was working out. And I don't remember, like, did I slip over something? And if you didn't text me, I don't know when I would have gotten up.
Oh, well, you're
But
welcome.
at some point, my wife would have maybe turned over, and I would have turned over. But I got your text. No, it wasn't that. I'm like 30 minutes behind and everything, but I'm dead asleep. And I don't know if you have this, but if I get up late, I'm like, I'm angry at myself. What did I do? How can I do this? What's going on? And
Well, I wake up in a panic, like, all right, where do I need to be?
Yeah.
How late am I?
so that's what I did this morning.
Am I skipping a shower this
I
morning?
get downstairs, and the baby cat's like, "Yo, what's with the sleeping in late?" I got Grayson outside, like the paw and the tongues in the window, like, I'm dying here. How about some food? Like yelling at Dad and everything.
I always assume you're up by. You probably wake up on a normal day. What?
5:55.
5:55. So I didn't think I was gonna
No,
wake you up,
no,
but I'm.
I have people text me 6:10 because they just know that I'm up and everything. So, and I always try to make sure that my ringer's up loud in case it's a family situation. So I'm like, what's that? And at first I'm like, Chris is dead. I'm like, wait a minute, what time is it? And that sprung up and everything. And then without traffic, I can get to the station relatively quickly, like in 12, 15 minutes. You get a little bit later.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you're like, where these people come from? What's going on here? This traffic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it sucks. I usually get here about 8:30, 8:45, and traffic is brutal.
Anyway, how you doing, Chris?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
Baby girl's man, she's starting to get that age where she's becoming more and more.
Oh, here we go again. Kid star.
She's just like fighting everything now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's so hard to feed her. Like,
Yeah.
excuse me?
Yeah.
What is this?
Doesn't change, by the way, as they get older. So,
Oh, great.
yeah.
Got that to look forward to.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Today's my youngest daughter's 29th birthday.
Happy birthday to her.
So think about how old I feel.
You want to sing her happy birthday?
Nope. Sent her a birthday text and everything, and we'll do a little gathering. It's been tough. She's traveling out of town, and I'm with a crazy schedule. We're going to a little gathering with the family this weekend.
You're not a birthday card person, are you? Like you don't send. I mean, I know what you do with cards, but you're not one to give cards, are you? Okay. I didn't think so.
No. Now, my wife's birthday's coming up, and I'm going to get her like 6 different cards, but that's just part of the sarcastic attempt of humor shtick. Because I always try to find one in a different language.
They have those?
Yeah.
Where?
Well, you can find Spanish cards.
Huh.
And then I always try to find a card that has another couple on it. Because is there anything more romantic than giving your wife a card with other people on it?
This could be us.
It's got like that couple sitting at the end of a pier with a sunrise. And you're like,
Oh, it's beautiful.
why would I give my wife a card with a picture of other people on it? Yeah. Got like a quinceanera card I'll put in there as well. Just random. Happy graduation. Why not? So,
That's funny.
yeah. So thanks for waking me up this morning, Chris.
You're welcome. We are a team.
All right. Welcome to our Wednesday program.
Oh, by the way, my wife says happy birthday to your daughter.
That's very kind. Very sweet. You can access us, FM 96.9, 740 AM dial, the iHeart app. You can download this podcast and listen when it's convenient for you. You can catch us on the stream, which you can go to 96.9 Game On Twitter, or go to our YouTube page, which is just put in 96.9 The Game Orlando. Click on the icon, click on the live button. You can watch us on the stream. We didn't do a show within the show yesterday. We got to do a couple today.
Yeah, so now we got to do 2.
Yeah. Maybe Chris and I will play Who Punches the Hardest in the Arm.
I kind of liked us doing the marshmallow fight the other day.
I didn't bring the candy today, Chris. I'm sorry. So you can join us there. Keith Smith's going to talk some basketball with us. We'll do a little hoops coming up in the next segment. Magic won last night. UCF, another painful loss for the Knights, for making it a lot more difficult now with the tournament bubble. Whit Watson, our golfing expert, is going to join us. It's the eve of the Arnold Palmer Invitational's opening round. We'll talk to Whit about the tournament this week. Do a little game show later with Chris. We got some football news, which we'll get to. So stick around. Here's everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? 1 Forrest 1.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CV's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great.
All right, so a few people kind of got on me yesterday for laughing during the punchline, during the potassium joke.
Yeah, you ruined it.
It's still funny. All right.
By the way, last night at the basketball game in the club room for UCF, someone came up and wanted to give me a joke to give to you. I'm like, that's not how it works. Joke was pretty good, but
You can tell me off air. I'm interested to hear what it is.
go ahead.
All right. My wife says I'm the cheapest man in the world. I'm not buying it.
You okay?
I think I'm good.
You all right? You sure? All right.
Hey, what's up? This is Pat Lynch.
And I'm Taco Bob, and you're not rocking out with WJRR.
Lock it in here with Marc Daniels and the beat of sports.
A little basketball from last night. Again, in full disclosure, I didn't see a second of the Magic game. The UCF game tipped off at 7 and then ended up going 2.5+ hours. And the Magic during that time comfortably beat the Wizards last night, 126-109. And it's one of those games that the Magic need to win because the schedule is going to get tougher in the final 20 games of the season. And they lead 57-54 at the half. They outscore the Wizards 40-27 in the third quarter. They win 126-109. Paolo goes for 37 points in the game last night on 15 of 21 shooting. A tough night for the critics to jump on him, but only 2 turnovers last night. 5 for Desmond Bane on 7 of 10 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3. And the Magic get the victory. Goga Batadze played as Wendell Carter Jr. was out last night with an ankle injury. Batadze played just over 21 minutes in the game last night, had not played since February the 21st. And in the last month of the season, had only made 2 appearances in the Magic's last 11 games and played a total of 15 minutes. But was called upon last night to get out there and play, and did. And the Magic get the win last night. They get the Dallas Mavericks, who got blown out last night and will limp here to Orlando tomorrow. And another one of those games of the Magic should win. And with results elsewhere last night in the NBA, in the East, with the win of the Magic and Philadelphia getting blown out by 40 to San Antonio last night, the Magic moved within a half game of the Sixers. Miami is tied with Orlando. By the way, looking over the shoulder, the Hornets are 31-31. They won 5 straight games, and are 2 back of the Magic. But again, when you win, you feel a little bit better. So the Magic hit the 60-game mark at 32-28, and you want to be a glass half full guy. The glass half full guy says you're half game behind the Sixers for the 6th spot, gets you out of the play-in. You're 2.5 games behind Toronto. 5.5 back at Cleveland for 4th, which I don't think is realistic, but 2.5 back of Toronto. All right. That might be attainable. That's a 5 seed. The schedule, as you look at the final 22 games for Orlando, and you get the Mavericks up next on Thursday, then Saturday at Minnesota, Sunday at Milwaukee. So back-to-back on the road. But here's some of the opponents. Chris, this is going to be where, rubber meets the road. You kind of find out what you're made of, all that stuff. After that back-to-back on the road, okay, count the number of playoff or play-in teams, okay, of the 22 left. Dallas at home, at Minnesota, at Milwaukee, Cleveland at home. Home versus Washington. Nope. Miami on the road at Atlanta. Oklahoma City at Charlotte. The Lakers. Not Indiana. Cleveland. Sacramento. Toronto. Phoenix. Atlanta. Dallas again. New Orleans. Detroit. Minnesota. Chicago. Boston. So you got a pretty good chunk of games.
That was a lot.
So, look, tougher schedule, but teams are going to be fighting with to get playoff seeding. So the Magic get the win last night. And again, let's see if in a week plus you get the update on Franz Wagner and win the games that you're supposed to win, like tomorrow's game. So I don't know what else you want to be negative about. You could say, well, they beat the Wizards. Right, you're supposed to beat the Wizards, which they did. So they won the game last night, and that's what you're supposed to do. Paolo had a good game.
To be, I guess, on the negative side.
Of course, Chris has to be that guy.
But you just ran through their schedule. More than half is against teams that are in the playoff or play in. You're struggling against those teams. yes, you're supposed to beat the teams like Washington and hopefully Dallas next, but if you can't beat the playoff teams,
Oh, okay, but you're going to find out in 22 games. I mean, this is it's an 82 game grind. It has been a bumpy road. They're 32 and 28. Okay, I'm going to be a little bit of a Mr. Optimistic here. Okay, we know all the things that's gone on in the season, the injuries, the inconsistent play, the coaching questioning, all that stuff. Okay, here they are, 32 and 28. Do you wish that they were a solid second or third? Of course, but this is where they are. You got a bunch of games against contending teams, either fighting for home playoff seating or avoid the play-in. Fine, you now go contend and win. I don't know what the number of games they'll need to be a sixth of the 22 games left. Does 14 and 8 get you that? I think it would. Could 13 and 9? Maybe. Now you got to go play. Do they get Franz Wagner back in a couple of weeks? I don't know. But here's the schedule. And it's all about that journey. If they go 9 and 13 and are in the play-in, then we'll have plenty of things that we'll gripe about. But let's go see. I mean, you can't do anything about the 60 games you played. This is what your record is. You're half game behind Philadelphia. You lost by 40 last night and remain somewhat head-scratching when they're healthy, which they rarely are, just like the Magic. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr. has got an ankle last night. So go play. And after the next 22 games, see where you land. And there'll be plenty of time to criticize all the stuff, and we'll do it all the time. They'll beat the Mavericks tomorrow, likely, and you feel, okay, hey, won a couple of games. Well, go to Minnesota. If they lose, no shortage of things that I'm sure people.
I don't think you can count the Mavericks game as an automatic win.
Forget half full. He's like 1/8 full.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
Like, you want to see this team put together a stretch, but they can't do it.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying you can't change the 60 games. They're not 12 games under 500. They're 4 games over 500, despite all the issues that have gone on. There's 22 games left. The majority of games are against teams that are going to be contending for either a top 6 seed or in the play-in. So you got to go win your share. There's plenty of storylines, what I'm saying, in the next month and a half that if you want to be on the negative side, you'll get stuff. But let's see what happens. Maybe they get healthy. Maybe they right the ship when it comes to health. History tells you no, but you got a lot.
Time will tell.
To see what happens. Quickly, 10 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando sports leader Marc Daniels and the Beat of Sports. Okay. Last night, UCF plays a critical basketball game against TCU. They lost it against Oklahoma State. They lost it overtime 111-104. 81 free throws. And it's not a good loss for UCF. A week ago, they were celebrated, not just locally, but somewhat around college basketball. They blew out BYU. People felt like, hey, they're going to be a lock for the NCAA tournament. Well, 2 games later, 1 week later, they've now moved themselves to maybe the wrong side of the bubble. 2 home losses to Baylor, lost to Oklahoma State, who was missing its best big, who blew out his ACL. He's out for the year. And it's a game that UCF led by 13. They end up down by 5 at the half. They're down in the second half. They get a 3 with 10 seconds to go. That gets them into overtime when they make a stop defensively. And they lost to Oklahoma State. And now sit at 20-9, 9-8 in the Big 12. Still can get a first-round bye in the Big 12 tournament if they beat West Virginia on the road Friday, which is no gimme, and not trending in the right direction. And that's not a good sign for a team that a week ago was in a good spot. As I've said before, I don't think they have any brand value to the selection committee because they haven't been a consistent tournament team. So who knows what the committee's going to think. You can match up resumes, and you were hoping to avoid that. And that's why when they came back 20-7 after BYU, he said, hey, win the 2 home games, and you're definitely going to be a lock. And I believe had they done that, but now they're in a mix of teams in the Big 12 fighting for anywhere from 6th to 10th place. If you don't make the top 8, then you got to play that first game in Kansas City on Tuesday. If they lose on Friday, it's a 3rd consecutive loss for them, and it would now get really uncomfortable. So it wasn't a good loss. And I get that. So I was stopped by somebody after the game last night, which I don't mind fans talking to me. And I saw a few people were tweeting yesterday at us because Matt Michelle was on, and I asked I asked Matt about Johnny's contract situation. He said, well, he thought that Johnny would be looking at extension. I have no conversation with Terry Mohajir about any of that stuff, and I don't think any decision's been made about any of that stuff. And I get it, and I've said this, and I understand why some people rip me or are disappointed because, well, how come you don't come on and just rip Johnny Dawkins? Well, read the optics to some degree. I try to be somewhat fair and understanding. I don't have any problem with a fan, whether it's Billy Napier at Florida, whether it's Mike Norvell at Florida State, whether it's Gus when he was the coach, whether it's Johnny Dawkins. If as a fan, you want a coaching change, you're a fan, you invest emotionally and financially in your team. And I don't have a problem when fans get emotional when the team wins and when the team loses. I don't. I understand that. You should be passionate about your team. And if you think after a decade that Johnny Dawkins hasn't advanced the program to a level that you think it should be, I respect the opinion if you say you want to change. Okay. I may not agree. I may agree with some things and I may disagree with others. But a couple people and one person stopped me in the garage last night, which is fine, screaming that Johnny's got to go and then wants to list a bunch of reasons. The thing that bothers me sometimes is when you don't bring context into the conversation. Okay? Like I said, whether it's Jamal Mosley, Johnny Dawkins, Billy Napier, anybody, I get the emotion part of it. But the context, as I said to the fan last night, Chris, I said, okay, I understand. You're upset. Really upset, these last two games. I'm upset these last two games. Okay, I want to go to the NCAA tournament. Me, selfishly. Why? Because it's fun. Free food. Well, the person said, why can't we be like Houston? I said, okay, let's have a brief conversation. Never mind, it's 10:45 and I want to go home. I said, Houston. I said, okay. Do you know who's behind Houston's program? And the person says, no. I said, okay, it's fine. Tillman Fertitta, the billionaire, okay, paid for the renovations to the arena in Houston, pays for their football NIL program, pays for the basketball NIL program. Despite Kelvin Sampson making the comments like, we don't have any money, their payroll's about 4 times UCF's payroll. They've got a top 5 a draft pick in Kingston Flemings. They've got another first-round pick in Chris Sinak. They had to bring back players they paid really good money to. Okay? That doesn't mean that UCF shouldn't have won last night's game. Okay? Because Oklahoma State's payroll, cut the crap about NIL, it's probably about the same. Okay? It's near the bottom of the Big 12. That's a bad loss. I can't spin it any other way last night. Baylor's payroll? They got 2 first-round picks, including one guy that they paid significant money for. He didn't play particularly well the other night. So I'm as upset last night how the game goes, but if you can't have some context, because then the follow-up question was, well, or the comment was, well, we've got the money. You do? Where? Well, we've got it. We're in the Big 12. Haven't got the big check from the Big 12 yet. Remember the 2 years of half share? That's not why they lost last night. They lost for basketball reasons. Their defense is not good right now. They ran the same high ball screen, and UCF couldn't adjust. And you blame coaches, blame players. I'm not arguing with that. But when the perspective is, well, spend what they've got because you got the money, it's like, okay, I can't have a conversation then. You can be mad at me. You can think that, well, I'm showing favoritism. Read the room. But perspective matters in the deal. You want to break down the X and O's last night, I'll probably sit on the same side with you. Okay? There were challenges last night where you look at some players and you're like, guys, they're running the same thing. And you want to ask, hey, coach, about this? I'm okay with that. That's valid in these basketball games. But if the perspective is, well, they're spending it, we should spend this. There's not a billionaire right now that walks into Terry Mohajir's office and goes, here, just take an endless supply of money. Like whether A.J. DeBonste's statement that he gave in an interview, like, I don't know if I'm going to go pro or I'll come back. There's a billionaire that's funding that payroll to the tune of $20+ million at BYU. And you can say, well, that's whining. Okay, it's whining. It's the reality of what you're playing with and what you're competing with. Again, not why they lost last night. They did beat BYU in a game. But if you're looking at the bigger picture and you're saying, well, compete in that league, just the Big 12 alone, there's like 3 different basketball leagues regarding payroll. There's the one that is among the best in college basketball. If you were to rank the top 10 payrolls in college basketball, 4 in the Big 12, where it doesn't matter how much you need to spend. They're going to spend it. Then there's the middle of the pack that is spending probably twice, if not 3 times more than UCF. And then there's the other pack. Now, can you go out and win games? Yeah. And they won games. But you can yell at me in a garage all you want and say, well, why can't we be like Houston? At least get some context to it. At least understand what they're paying. And it does matter. Now, can you, quote, moneyball it and find guys to fill roles and everything? Yeah. It doesn't change what happened the last 2 games, but the team was picked 14th and they're in 7th today. It's not 1 or 2. So I get it. I get the frustration. I understand. You're a fan. You want to be passionate about your team. And I'm upset as a fan also by the last 2 games. Listen, I want to shake some guys and go, do you understand? You got a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. It's your final year of college basketball, unless somebody sues and you get 6 more. Don't you want to go? I get that same frustration. I got frustrated last night when the opposing team ran the same play several times. I'm with you on that. It's just when you want to come off the top rope and scream, well, we got the money, spend it. I can't go deep in the conversation if that's going to be the hardline view of, well, we got the money, we're in the Big 12. Man, it's not that. And I don't fault schools that have that guy. I don't fault Texas Tech that Cody Campbell wants to spend tens of millions of dollars on a football roster to win at any cost. And by the way, the same guy spending tens of millions of dollars on a basketball roster. I don't fault the church out at BYU that decided we're going to invest in football and basketball. They can, because that's what the system allows for. But you can't just throw it out and go, well, nope, got to spend the same. And so, where? I mean, at some point, the dollars you're looking for don't exist. And you're like, well, you're in the Big 12. Okay. Come June, when they get that first payment from the Big 12, then they'll have the same media money as everybody else. But there's not a billionaire or guys worth 9 figures that are going, here, just take it all. Just take it all. Winning helps. Yeah. If you win, you get more people that want to be excited. So I hear the frustration. I understand it. I'm frustrated by the last 2 games, the fan in me, because it's a great opportunity to get to the tournament. But if you don't have context and it's just like, well, spend like this and that. Like, I mean, after the Baylor basketball game, someone was talking to me like, well, how much more are these schools spending? And I'm like, you want to know? Okay. Here's how many $20 million payrolls are in this league. Where's UCF's? I mean, I know what it is, and some of the published reports are almost accurate. A little bit over 3. Doesn't mean you can't win games. It's just understand that's what you want to compete with. Kate Smith takes us back to the NBA next.
Time to talk basketball with Keith Smith. The latest on the Magic and around the NBA. Follow Keith on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA.
We talk hoops on these Wednesdays, and Keith Smith has kind of joined us. Please support his work. Go on extra Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. Get the links to everything he writes about, all the shows and everything. Keith, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
So the roller coaster for the Magic, the losses to Houston and to Detroit, the way the games go. They beat the Wizards last night, a game that they need to win. They got Dallas tomorrow. So take me through the week of the Magic with the Houston game the way it went, the Detroit game, and then winning a game you're supposed to win.
Yeah, the disappointing part of the two losses is they were ahead in those games, and not just ahead 15-10 in the first quarter. Like they were actually had leads in both of those games that could have been sustainable, but it looked like what we've seen is I think this team is struggling to close games because I think they're running out of gas a little bit. I think so much has fallen on Paolo Banchero to really create everything with Franz Wagner out, and Desmond Bane is a good player, but he hasn't been used much as a playmaker. He's been used much more as a scorer in Orlando. And then Jalen Suggs is still very much working his way back in. They've gotten decent play out of Javon Carter. But then if they black out, that's another playmaker. So I think they just got a little tired, but they're winning the games they're supposed to. You have to beat the Wizards. They did so with relative ease last night. That's important. No one's going to get upset about losing games to Detroit and Houston, or shouldn't get too upset, but you would like to pull out a couple more of those games when you're ahead against the good teams.
I'm curious, Keith, your opinion. It's an 82-game journey of a season. You're going to have ebbs and flows, and this team has had its share of bumps along the way, particularly dealing with injuries. Like every single night, who's out? And last night it was Wendell Carter Jr., and so it's like almost every game. And yes, we're over-reading and over-analyzing Paolo's body language and Jamal Mosley. And Paolo made a comment about second-half adjustments. Let's go to Jamal Mosley and get his thoughts. And it's like, something's going on there. Multiple things can be true. Yeah, when you're not winning and you feel criticism, then we all get defensive. And also, in the course of the amount of time teams spend over 82 games in all those months, you're not going to like everybody every single day. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I try to not do too many comparisons to sports in real life because they are very, very different. But in a lot of ways, these guys spend more time together than anybody else does. Most of us in our jobs, when you wrap up for the day, you go home and you're not with your coworkers. Well, these guys, they wrap up their day and then they're on a plane together and then they're in a hotel together and all that stuff. And it just becomes in a place where, eventually, things that really probably don't actually bother you, they start to wear on you a little. And you're kind of like, oh, gosh, this guy, again, with the way he's doing this. And you're going to have bumps along the way. And I think it's okay to, criticize the coach a little. I think it's okay for the coach to fire back at the players some, as long as it doesn't get out of control. And as long as they hash it out and get to where they need to be. So it wasn't anything that, overly surprised me. For what it's worth, I kind of agree a little bit with Paolo Banchero that it feels like the Magic just kind of go in with, this is what we're going to do. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, then it doesn't work. I don't know that there's a lot of creativity and changing of schemes and all that, but, it shouldn't, I don't want that to look, poorly as far as this team has started to play better, even with a couple of losses in the past week. They have started to play better and maybe look like they're starting to turn a corner a little bit.
Let's pivot to some other stuff. I was playing a couple of clips earlier on our shows. Luka, I can watch basketball excellence and I can appreciate the talent, but I'm in the group that it's hard to watch him because it's just a constant soap opera of complaining. And he's great. There's no question. And he's putting up, 33 points a game. But it's impossible to watch at times because he leads the league in free throws and he's still miserable.
Yeah, it's every play. It's every play on both ends of the floor. I mean, he doesn't do a lot defensively already, and he'll come over and these kind of lazy fouls where it's like he's just going to try to reach in, and then he gets angry, and then, he's constantly barking at the officials. This was something that became such a problem in Dallas that they were like, this has to stop. And then it did stop for a little while, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it's tough. And I'll add Nikola Jokic is there as well. And I think Jokic does take, a lot of hits throughout the course of the games, but it is the same thing where every play there's something to be said, and it's like you just really you really think you get fouled on every single play? Like, come on, that's just not the way it goes. And then what happens is then when it is a legitimate one and you don't get the call, it's because the refs are already tired of you. And they're like, I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that one because all you've been doing is yapping in my face all game long.
I don't know how to fix it either. I don't, because the NBA tried to do something about it, and it was like it was a story for like a week, and then all right, we move on. I don't know how to fix all this.
Yeah, I mean, the only way you're going to fix it from the officiating side, start handing out even more technicals, and then you're going to get people go, hey, wait a minute, we don't want these games. You're getting our star players thrown out, and you would hope eventually they would learn. And you would think with Luka, I mean, this is a guy I think he did eventually with the Mavericks get to a point where he got so many technicals he missed games because once you get so many you get suspensions. But you don't want it to get to that point, and I think it comes down to this is not high school basketball, and the coach is not going to be like, that's it, you're on the bench for the rest of the night for mouthing off to the referee. It doesn't work that way. But it does. There is something that, whether it's the league or the teams themselves need to take more ownership of this. But you're absolutely right. I mean, and you're not the first or the 10th or the 15th person in the last month who have been like, how do you deal with watching Luka all the time? And that's from folks who are in the league themselves and just people who watch as fans. It really is, become something.
It was inevitable if Jason Tatum was going to come back. Somebody, and you probably read the same piece or something similar, was like, well, how is he going to mess up their chemistry? I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second, okay? We're talking about one of the NBA's better players, but I'll give you the floor as someone that pays close attention to the Celtics. The thought of Jason Tatum ruining the chemistry of the Celtics is a little, well, not a little, it's a lot comical to me, but your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. Might it be a little bit bumpy at first? Sure. It's the same. It's like akin to acquiring a player at the trade deadline. It takes a handful of games when they come back in, when the new player comes in, to kind of figure things out. Now, this should go smoother because the Celtics have history with Tatum. Tatum has a history with most of the guys on the team. And, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of, all right, well, this player who's been playing for you spots up here and you're over here, and there's going to be times when it's all right, he needs the ball some and all that. But as I've said all along, is as long as he comes in and is better than the Celtics' 9th or 10th man, then that's a win already for them. It's just getting another really good rotation player. If he's even better than that, we did so much better for Boston. I think it's people are starting to look around, right? We're getting close to the playoffs. So if you're not doing a lot with the tanking teams and the draft and all that, starting to look into our playoff matchups. And I think some of it is, boy, this Boston team is really, really good, and they're playing really well. All right, well, what could kind of take them down? And I think some people are coming around to, all right, well, maybe Tatum will mess things up because they're struggling to come up with another thing that may end up hurting the Celtics.
I admit I'm finding numbers that confirm a view, but the last 16 games, the Knicks are the best defensive team in the NBA.
Yeah, they've really started to figure it out, and I think some of it's been scheme stuff. I think they've started to use Karl-Anthony Towns. They almost play two different styles when Towns is on the floor. They play a lot more in the drop coverage, and then they're asking guys like Bridges and Anunoby and Josh Hart, really, you need to do your things because we're trying to protect Karl-Anthony Towns in that spot. And then when Mitchell Robinson is out there, he's not always out there with the other three perimeter type defenders because it's all right, we can press up, we can switch, we can live with that. And I think that just is one of those things where it takes time to get to a place as a team where you can execute that. Now, are they still going to have questions when you get to the playoffs? Sure, because teams are going to attack Brunson, they're going to attack Towns. But as long as you can kind of have some counters to it, it's pretty good. And boy, Mitchell Robinson is special. And as long as he stays healthy, they have a chance to make a real run. I'm not going to suggest he's more important to the team than Brunson or Towns or any of those guys, but he is pretty darn important for that Knicks team because they really need him to play at their best and highest level.
Keith, we talked, and they still remain one of the most fun teams to watch to me. It's the Hornets, who now are at 500. They won 5 straight. I'll give the Hawks credit. The Hawks have won 4 straight. They're sitting at 500. They're not going to likely get out of the play. They're only 2.5 back of the 6th spot, but it's made the bottom part of the playing group a lot more entertaining right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and those teams that have created distance, they're both 4 games up on the Bucks now, and the Bucks are, after playing okay when Giannis was down initially, they started to stumble towards the end of that. He came back. They got blown out in the first game back, and they don't look like they're ready to make any kind of push. I think the Hornets and Hawks are now looking at, hey, can we run down Miami? Could it be possible to run down Orlando or Philadelphia? I mean, they're only a couple games behind the Magic in the Heat. They're only 2.5 behind Philadelphia. I think those teams are starting to look up in the standings versus trying to hold off. And that Hornets starting group of Moussa Diabate, Miles Bridges, Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, and LaMelo Ball is the best lineup in the league this year. 5-man lineup. When those 5 guys are on the floor together in their minutes, they blow teams out. And that's been a huge part of their success. They stayed relatively healthy. The team fits together. And like you said, with the Hawks, they've gotten kind of healthy. I think they've found some things that are working for them. Jonathan Kuminga's come in and given them really good minutes in the last few games. So they're good. I think we probably have our 10 teams in the East, but the order, I'll talk to you about that in a month or so.
I'm bouncing conferences here, but I want to go back for a second to Cleveland. They win last night without Mitchell, and they beat Detroit 113-109. We got enough of a sample size to get a sense of James Harden with Cleveland, and I'm curious your thoughts because they played well with him. No Mitchell last night, but in a way, he's asked to play a different role with this team. And Garland had a tough time staying healthy. It looks like now it makes sense because they're playing well with him. But the James Harden in Cleveland to you is what?
Yeah, we're in the honeymoon phase where it looks great and everybody loves it and he plays well and everybody's like, what's the problem with this guy? Why doesn't he stay anywhere? We'll see how long it lasts. But for now, so far so good, and it'll continue to be good. And even last night, in the tight moments of the game down the stretch, Dennis Schroeder was on the floor with James Harden, which that would normally be Donovan Mitchell. But that Cavs team, they did a really good job kind of reshaping their depth there. Now, Jared Allen got hurt. Doesn't sound like it's overly serious, so we'll keep an eye on that. But they're another team that, again, starting to play pretty good basketball. You look at the top of the Eastern Conference, it's every bit as strong as the top of the Western Conference is. I think people are just finally now starting to come around to, oh, wait a minute, hey, these conferences are a lot more balanced than maybe what we thought. And in some ways, the East may even be deeper. And I think we're finally in a place where it's, for the Cavs, they knew they needed to load up because of how good the conference is. And for them, it almost doesn't matter, though. It's going to come down to what happens in the playoffs. Because if they don't make a real run, and by that I mean conference finals, competitive conference finals, or even to the NBA finals, there's going to be more changes to come because they're not going to be this expensive of a team and just be content with second round outs and the like.
Check out his work. Find Keith on X at Twitter, Keith Smith NBA, and you can get the links to everything he writes about, all the shows that he does, and we appreciate the time. Thank you, Keith.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You can watch us on our stream. Go to Twitter 96.9 Game On or check out the YouTube page. Put in 96 on the Game Orlando. Click on the icon and then the live button. You can sit and watch us. We'll do a show within the show in about 25 minutes. We'll do something there. Whit Watson, our golfing expert, joins us. It's the eve of the start of the Arnold Palmer Invitational. The PGA Tour is back in Orlando. We'll talk to Whit next.
This is the Beat of Sports with Marc Daniels.
It's the eve of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, which remains one of our largest sporting events every year in Orlando. And a great field is once again gathered to play at Bay Hill starting tomorrow morning. Our golfing expert, Whit Watson, joins us to talk a little bit of golf. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you?
Good. How's your golfing world? What do we need to know about all of the shows that you got going on?
Well, it is a signature event, as you mentioned, one of the biggest events on the calendar in Central Florida every year. It's a limited field, and they got just about everybody that matters. 35 of the top 40 players in the world rankings are going to be there. Anybody you'd want to see, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, all teeing it up this weekend. It is a serious big boy event, and looks like the weather is going to be good. If you don't have tickets yet, highly recommended. It is it's going to be a stacked field, and the competition looks like it's going to be fierce.
How about you and your programming? What do you got this weekend?
So we're going to go out there live. Yeah, we're going to be live from 9 to 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. Not exactly sure where we're going to be set up on the golf course, but there's plenty of party deck type activity. If you check out the tournament's website, they've got all kinds of activities. In years past, they would set us up at a little party deck between the 14th green and the 15th tee, which was a pretty cool venue to watch the players tee off on the long par 5. It's a great spectator venue. There's so many good places where one green kind of butts up against the next tee, and you can watch players in two different directions. And we'll hopefully bring some guests over and talk to some of the volunteers as they celebrate. I think it's now the 61st playing overall of what used to be the old Florida Citrus Open.
Mike Bianchi wrote a piece 10 years since Arnie's passing, which made me pause because I was like, wow, one of the great things I treasure on my computer is when Mike and I did a show out there one morning when Arnie pulled up in the golf cart with the dog and sat down and talked to us. And to this day, even since he's passed, I still say Mr. Palmer because that's how everybody treated him. And you've been around this game a long time, and it's hard to believe that 10 years has passed, but his presence is still felt. That sounds like very emotional, but for anybody that goes out there, you still know it's Arnie's place, right?
Well, there's a massive statue of him that you can't miss as you walk onto the property near the driving range. And they added a tradition, which I happen to love, of handing out a red cardigan to the winner rather than a green jacket. It's a red cardigan that very much reminds you of Mr. Palmer. And by the way, we all called him Mr. Palmer.
Yeah.
I mean, even those of us who worked at Golf Channel, which wouldn't exist were it not for Arnold Palmer, we all referred to him as Mr. Palmer. And yes, his legacy is everywhere. The logo of the club is the multicolored umbrella, which was his trademark. You can feel it everywhere. And his grandson, Sam Saunders, who grew up on that golf course, playing golf with his granddad, was a club champion there when he was a teenager. He and his family have worked very hard to maintain his grandfather's legacy, to maintain the status of the tournament itself. You mentioned it's been 10 years since his passing. There was real concern, Mark, that the tournament might go away without Mr. Palmer there to keep players coming to Orlando. And the Saunders family worked very hard to keep players interested in Bay Hill. And the PGA Tour did them a huge favor, honoring the Palmer legacy by making it a signature event, by putting it on that elevated tier with the higher purse, the elevated FedEx Cup points, ensuring that this tournament will stay in Orlando for the foreseeable future and be a part of the new PGA Tour, whatever the new schedule looks like for the foreseeable future. They did a lot of hard work to make sure that we have this special tournament in Orlando.
There are many towers that you've sat in over your years of covering this sport. One of the many things, and I'm biased, one of the many things that I still love about Bay Hill, and there are very few community courses left. There are very few places where you're teeing off in front of somebody's back patio. And I still think that's one of the great things about this tournament, because as this sport continues to grow, there are very few of these left anymore.
And there are families that have been sitting in their backyard for literally decades in the same spot, on the same hole. There's one huge house across the pond from the 18th green that throws a party every year. I wish I knew their name, but it's the same house and the same people every year. And it is a residential neighborhood. If you go out there and you've never been to the tournament before, you're in someone's backyard practically when you're walking the fairways. And you're right, in the age of stadium courses and TPCs that are purpose built for PGA Tour events, it's an anomaly. It's a neighborhood golf course, and that is kind of part of the fun. But it's also not a pushover. They managed to stretch this thing back to 7,400 plus yards. And if the wind blows at all, it's going to play even par or over par. And that's what kind of makes it fun is you see this Parkland style golf course and you think, oh, isn't that quaint? And then it just beats the snot out of the best players in the world if the weather, kicks up at all. And that's what makes it entertaining, at least for the fans.
Whit, what's been the player feedback? And I would guess it's positive as the schedule's been tinkered a little bit. They're down in Palm Beach last week, here this week. The Players' Championship next week, over to Tampa. They'll come back down to Doral in May, but I would think players like this. Now, a lot of guys aren't playing every stop here, but you do get a true Florida swing here.
You do, and I think everyone's wondering how long is this going to last? I think a lot of eyes right now are on the release of the 2027 schedule and how much tinkering are they going to do? Brian Rolap, who's the new CEO, has used this word scarcity. They've talked about pulling back on the schedule. I had the chance to go play golf at the Valspar Media Day, and I spoke with Rondé Barber, who is the chair of the Copperheads, the group that puts on that tournament. And he said, look, we're signed. We've got our sponsorship deal signed through 2030. What they don't know is where they're going to be on the schedule. Will the Florida swing as we know it continue? There's going to be some movement. Pebble Beach may move to a new date. Farmers may move to a new date. The Hawaiian events may go away entirely. So the Florida swing is great in terms of travel for these players, but the schedule as we know it is very likely to change. I think everyone's heard the rumor that Brian Rolap is considering not starting the PGA Tour schedule until after the Super Bowl because he doesn't want to compete with football. And he came from the NFL, understands the power of the NFL. And that schedule could be released as early as during the week of the players. So I think a lot of the guys who are in the middle class of the PGA Tour are a little anxious to know what 2027 is going to look like.
My follow-up was going to be then how many of these are not around? I don't know the contract, the sponsorship deal in Palm Beach. That's been a struggle to get a field there. You know that's not been a great field. And as he talks about bigger cities and maybe a lighter schedule, I'm not quite sure we're going to have as many events. I didn't know the date, but you shared a Valspar through 30 because I know there's been talk. Would they be in danger too?
Yeah, I think, and I don't know how long Cognizant. That's an event, Mark, that Honda was the longest running continuous sponsor on the PGA Tour, and they pulled out. Wells Fargo pulled out.
When I'm so old, that tournament goes back to the Jackie Gleason Inverary Classic, okay?
Inverary Classic. I've played that golf course, Mark. That's how old I am. I know. I mean, and they were the longest running sponsor on tour, and they left. And that was what the PGA Tour was facing. So, and when you see tournaments that have titles like the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches, that means that the local tourism board is also putting money up for it. So it's partially sponsored by the county. Right. So I don't know what that contract is. But that event, I think, is in a little bit of danger. I was a little bit surprised when Rondé said that Valspar was in until 2030. I thought Valspar might be in trouble in terms of staying on the schedule. But I mean, you can look at the schedule and kind of figure out, who's got the signature events. You can figure out the ones that are going to stick around. The sponsors that have been there the longest and are willing to pony up for those elevated purses, those are the events that are going to stay, because that's what Brian Rolap's charge is from his investors is this is a for-profit entity now. We need to make money.
Anything you take out of the start to this season that stands out to you? I was going to ask you about Brooks Koepka, who played well last week, the final 3 rounds after a bad first round. I know his putter struggled a little bit, but what stands out as far as interesting stories for the young 26 season?
I love the fact that Chris Goddard has come out of the gate with a couple of wins right away. I love the fact that Scotty Scheffler is being Scotty Scheffler. I'd like to see him figure out his first round woes. He's got this pattern now where he struggles out of the gate, and then he'll throw a little 63 at you on Saturday when it's already gone. I think that there's been a nice pattern, a nice balance of different winners on the PGA Tour, and we're getting into an interesting stretch here with this event and the Players coming up. These are two tough events with very, very good fields, and you're going to see guys start to ramp up towards the Masters, which is not that far away. This is a fun stretch. It's a fun stretch of events, and I think you're going to see some pretty competitive golf over the next couple of weeks. I'm very much looking forward to getting out to Bay Hill. I have not been on the golf course since we did the show last year. So I'm going to get out there Thursday and Friday to have a look at it, and really looking forward to it.
By the way, one guy that also has won, Justin Rose, is, I think I'm right, 45. I think he's got 7 top 10 major finishes in the last 5 years, and still plays at an incredibly high level. I know some people thought, hey, the career underperformed from what they thought, but dude's 45 and still goes out every single week and plays at a high level, man.
Going toe-to-toe with Rory at Augusta National last year, by the way. That is an amazing story and probably underreported, to be in that age when he's supposed to be in limbo, right? At that age, they're supposed to be coasting until the Champions Tour, and he's playing lights-out golf with guys that are literally 20 years younger than him every single week. Keeps himself in great shape. That swing doesn't have much wrong with it. There's not a whole lot to break in that swing. It is an underreported story, and he could play well this week. This is a golf course that suits him. He finds fairways and he hits greens. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Two final ones. Whit Watson going. He's going to tell you again about the show this weekend that he's got. We all made a big deal. Well, I don't know. I mean, we saw the Tiger clip, and he was asked in the CBS booth about could you play at the Masters, and he didn't rule it out. And then he had the media session at his event at Riviera, and didn't rule it out. And yet I watch him walk in the TGL. That doesn't look like a guy that's about to walk 4 days at Augusta if he was to make the cut. So you can answer to that. And then he now has openly talked a couple of times about the Champions Tour, which I wasn't sure he'd ever play. But it sounds like he might be interested in playing.
5 years ago, 10 years ago, there's no way he plays the Champions Tour. 5 years ago, I would have said maybe. Now, I think it's a definite possibility. Interestingly, if he were to play the Champions Tour, one little nugget that I've seen, if he were to play the Champions Tour and play a U.S. Senior Open and win a U.S. Senior Open, he'd be the first player in the history of Earth to win a U.S. Junior, a U.S. Amateur, a U.S. Open, and a U.S. Senior Open. However, here's the kicker. The USGA doesn't allow golf carts, so he'd have to walk to win a U.S. Senior Open. The Champions Tour, obviously, he can use a cart. And he said if he plays any more PGA Tour events, he won't use a cart because he, quote, doesn't believe in it on the PGA Tour, whatever that means. As far as playing the Masters, when he made that statement that he had not ruled out playing the Masters this year, Mark, he hadn't even played a TGL event yet at that point, right? He wasn't healthy enough to stand and hit into a screen. And the Masters at that point was like 60 or 70 days away. So, God bless him. He's optimistic. I'm sure he's working very hard. I don't think it's terribly realistic that he's going to play the Masters. I think it's more realistic that he'll try to make a couple of starts on the Champions Tour this year than he plays the Masters.
Is anybody more miserable than Jon Rahm? He made the comments about why the European Tour, the DP Tour, doesn't want to meet their standard or the amount of events and everything. And I don't know the last time he smiled. And, Koepka found a way to come back. Rahm remains somewhat committed to live, but I've never seen a guy more miserable right now.
Jon Rahm had the same avenue to come back to the PGA Tour that was offered to Koepka and DeChambeau and Cam Smith, and decided not to take it. And what he calls extortion, the DP World Tour wants him to play 6 events, 6, the entire year out of the 40 whatever they stage. The minimum, I guess.
But he could easily do with the LIV schedule. He could easily do it.
Yeah. LIV plays 14 events a year. They want him to play 6 DP World Tour events. The minimum, I guess, for everybody else to maintain dual membership is 4. And so the 6 is the extra condition that they imposed upon the 8 live players that they've granted this, this olive branch to. And he calls that extortion. He thinks that's excessive. Plus, he doesn't want to pay the penalties that he's incurred, which is about $3.5 million. And he's been fighting that since day one.
Which you only got a 9-figure sum to sign to live to begin with, so it's not.
I don't know what the end game is there. I don't know what the point is. I don't know where he's going with that. I mean, he took the money, and I don't begrudge him taking the money. I don't begrudge any of those guys taking the money. Good for them. But I don't know what his point is with this spat with the DP World Tour. But he's got to figure it out, because the European Ryder Cup rules are that you have to be a DP World Tour member in good standing to be on the European Ryder Cup team. And that's not that far away, Ireland 2027. So if he wants to play in his 5th consecutive Ryder Cup, he's got to be a member by 2027. And I would assume that cooler heads would prevail, but that's what's on the line is his Ryder Cup participation next year.
And again, he's got the money. I still think that he and DeChambeau miss the crowds at the PGA stops every single week. And, again, the money may be good, but he just looks miserable to me. Remind folks again how they can tune in this coming weekend and maybe catch you out there at Bay Hill.
Yeah, so Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., 2 big hours right here on 96.9 The Game. Also, of course, on the iHeart Radio app. And we're going to be out there. I'm going to be out there scouting on Thursday and Friday. Take some videos around the golf course, put those up on the Instagram account, give you all an idea of where exactly we're going to be set up. I'm actually going to find that out myself tomorrow as to where we're going to be set up. But we're looking forward to being live at Bay Hill. And when I do find out where we're going to be set up, if you're going to be on the golf course Saturday morning, I hope you'll come by and say hello.
Please check him out on X or Twitter at Real Whit Watson. If you're going out to Bay Hill on Saturday morning, be sure to check him out. The show airs at 9 o'clock. Thank you, Whit. Appreciate it.
All right, Mark. Talk soon.
11 o'clock hour coming up in just a little bit. I began talking to Whit and mentioned I encourage people to read Mike's column today on Arnold Palmer, because I was like, wow, it's been a decade. And I brought this up before several times. It's just one of the coolest things that morning Mike and I were right outside the media tent, broadcasting, talking to different people coming by, and Arnie pulls up in the golf cart with his golden retriever and comes by and sits down wearing his sweater and everything. And, for me, it's one of the coolest moments in my broadcasting career, just to sit and chew the fat. It really special because and again, I've told this story before. I met him another time because of the work at Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital. And a person that used to be the head of the neonatal unit there, still very much involved in the hospital, was the first person to touch my daughters when they were born. And there was a little bit of concern before my wife gave birth to my youngest daughter, celebrates a birthday today, that there may have been some challenges, and thank God she's okay. And that mutual friend of ours, the doctor, came up in a conversation, and Arnold Palmer goes, I remember you. How's your daughter? And I said, she's as healthy as can be and all sorts of stuff. And you will never forget moments like that, man. You will never forget moments like that. Yeah.
Gave me goosebumps there.
Yeah. Never forget it. And to me, he'll always be Mr. Palmer. Chris and I are going to do a show within show. If you're on the YouTube stream, which you can access from Twitter, 96.9 Game On, or go to the YouTube page, 96.9 The Game Orlando. Click on the icon, the live button, and we'll jump on there. The 11 o'clock hour will kick off with the news next.
Guess who's back?
All right, so I don't know if there's like one or two people in the stream.
We're up to 20.
All right,
Give us
so
some credit.
anybody that wants to, have you ever had a moment like I just mentioned, like with Arnold Palmer? Not it didn't have to be an interview where you met somebody famous,
What about talked over
and
the
it was
phone?
more than just a oh hi and like genuine conversation or moment. Talk on the phone,
No, I guess I.
or was that you lining up a guest?
Yeah, it was
Who was that?
Chipper Jones. As
For-
an intern,
Who had him on? Wasn't me.
no, it was Shot Doctor.
Okay.
Shot,
Oh yeah, Shot knows.
Shot and David Buffa had Chipper Jones on, and David Buffa let me.
You didn't do the old talk to him when you lined him up.
I was
Did you
like,
drop I'm a big fan?
I did.
Oh,
I did. I was that guy. I was an intern. I didn't know any better.
Hey, remember that time you had a double against the Padres? That was cool.
I was. Man,
What's it like to be a baseball player?
I completely went fangirl on him. I was like, man, thank you for staying in Atlanta for your entire career. This and that. He's probably yeah, whatever, dude. Just get me on hold so we can do this interview. But I got to talk to Chipper Jones and Roy Jones Jr.
Same deal, lining us a guest?
Yep.
You didn't fanboy that too.
No, because I'm not a big boxing fan.
Remember that time you knocked that guy out? That was cool.
Well, he does have a song that's one of my favorite songs of all time. Can't Be Touched. Great song. That gets you hyped. Remember listening to that in
I didn't know you
basketball
dropping
class.
a Roy Jones Jr. song.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Trying to think of others that were Johnny Unitas, the legendary quarterback, came in and did a show with us. We had him on for an hour. And it was incredible. But I told him about my dad. My dad was at the first ever overtime championship game, the Colts and Giants. He's in the end zone and he's screaming, watch this play, watch this play. And I told Johnny Unitas, I said, my dad was at that game, and he was like, oh, my God, tell me about it. And my dad was supposed to work. He worked at the Oyster Bar at the train station and skipped work or had somebody and everything. And he goes, well, can I sign a picture for your dad? And he wrote it to Dan from Johnny Unitas. Sorry, I missed you at the game. And I thought that was great. So that was a cool moment that
I really haven't had the opportunity to talk to a lot of, I guess, athletes or coaches in recent memory, but I'll never forget fanboying out on Chipper Jones.
Yeah. I told you my Kenny Loggins story, right?
Yes.
That was a fanboy. Doing a private concert, comes out, he's at the same cocktail table as I, just want to have a little snack and a drink. And he goes, I'm Kenny Loggins. And I go, yes, you are. Not like, hi, I'm Mark. Thinking maybe a genuine conversation. I just said, yes, you are. And then I walked away.
Have you ever had an interaction where the famous person was just a complete jackass? Like entitled, prick, standoffish.
I'd have to think. I'm sure it's happened, but I can't think off the top of my head. Meeting somebody, might have been blown off in locker rooms. Bill Laimbeer told me to get the bleep out of his face. First year of the Magic ever. They're playing the Pistons, bad boy Pistons, everything. Did the Magic locker room first, and then after the post game, going over to the Pistons locker room, Laimbeer's sitting there changing and so forth. Go up, and it was myself and somebody else asked a question. He goes, "You guys went to the losers locker room first. Get the bleep out of here." Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Can I quote you on that?
Also stood in front of Manute Bowl.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know where you were standing. I know exactly where your head was.
Yep. A lot of space. See you guys later. Yep. Never get out of your mind. I don't care what anybody tells you. Never get out of your mind. We're going to go back and do the news now.
All right.
Let's really do the news.
Yes.
Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
That was a fun segment in the show within the show.
Yeah, it was.
Interesting ending. 11, that's why you want to catch the stream. 11 o'clock hour, WYJ Orlando, WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando sports leader. Marc Daniels will be the sports. Chris Vasquez over there, our producer. Last night, Magic beat the Wizards 126-109. Paolo goes for 37 on 15 of 21 shooting. The Magic at the Mavericks coming up tomorrow night at the Kia Center. College basketball, the Gators win the SEC title outright. They blow out Mississippi State 108-74. No one is playing maybe as good as Florida, certainly on offense in the last month of the season. The Gators are just destroying teams. The margin of victory is downright embarrassing. 108-74 last night, the London regular season against Kentucky. Not the same outcome for UCF. They lose another big key game for them trying to get to the NCAA tournament. They lose to Oklahoma State in overtime, 111-104 last night. Game was tied at 94 at the end of regulation. Second straight home loss for UCF, sit at 20-9, 9-8 in the Big 12. They'll play their final regular season game at West Virginia on Friday before the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. It's gotten a little bit muddier on the bubble for UCF. Football news, Chris's Cowboys proving that the salary cap, whatever, man. You just rework some stuff, right?
Yeah, then they're going to have, in about 2-3 years when Dak Prescott's contract is up, he's going to have like a $500 million dead cap hit.
Yes. Cowboys restructured Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and left guard Tyler Smith. They were $55 million over the salary cap, and just like that, they're under.
Yep, with more to come.
Just you keep putting money in the backside of it. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing with Dak because of what they're doing there, and of course the Cowboys trying to figure out with George Pickens what the long-term deal may be there.
I would love to sign George Pickens to a long-term deal, but I'm not the owner, I'm not the GM, I'm not the coach, I'm not anything to Dallas. So
more football stuff coming up in just a little bit on some other things made in the National Football League. To college sports, yesterday in Dallas, there's a group backed by private equity money that invited and had a number of university presidents, ADs, and a few other college administrators gather to hear their pitch. Their pitch is about pooling the media rights and going to market to make what they claim is to be significantly more money than the current media deals out there. The problem is the two biggest conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, still remain cool to the idea of doing that. This event in Dallas, completely independent of President Trump's plan, and that meeting apparently still on, to invite college figures and other individuals to a kind of how to fix college sports meeting and roundtable. But this group that invited these individuals to Dallas made the pitch. It's kind of been out there, but it leaked on purpose about what they may be able to do at media rights. By the way, Patrick Krates, a longtime TV executive, will join us on Thursday's show to give us his thoughts about the idea of pooling media rights in college sports. The challenge may be what three letters, Chris?
Would that be N? I?
No, N, F.
And F? L?
Yeah, that may be the biggest one because they're going to opt out of their current deals. And trust me, who's going to suck most of the money out of the system? So we'll get to that interesting story tomorrow, Patrick Krates. The World Baseball Classic about to get underway. The Americans yesterday played an exhibition game and beat the San Francisco Giants 15-1. Had that taste, Giants. Oh, wait. Not an opposing country yet, huh? Back to college basketball, 30-0. Miami of Ohio beat Toledo. They've won every close game. I mean, obviously, at 30-0. Just the 4th team this century to start a college basketball season 30-0.
Can I ask you something about that?
Yes.
Why do we say start 30-0 at this point?
Because they've started the season 30-0. Haven't lost yet.
When do we stop using the word start?
When the season ends. Jackson Profar suspended 162 games. The Braves outfielder for his second PED test this year. Yeah, I can't give you a pass on that one, dude.
No.
Lin Bin, Chinese businessman, billionaire, is buying a 1% stake in the Dolphins' parent company. Now, the Dolphins' parent company owns the Dolphins, the stadium, the F1 race, the F1 track, the tennis tournament, the tennis facilities, buying a 1% stake with a team valuation at $12.5 billion. People, again, I bring this up because they go, the Dolphins worth $12.5 billion. You're not just buying the Dolphins when Stephen Ross either sells or transitions and he's got a succession plan in place. It's all the properties I just mentioned. So that's why it's $12.5 billion. It's different than you're just buying the football team. It's all those other properties.
Just 1% for $12.5 billion is still an insane amount.
No. The valuation's $12.5 billion. The 1% doesn't cost $12.5 billion. His 1% is a valuation of, that could be your homework, Chris, is figure out how much you paid for the 1%.
Oh, jeez.
Huh? Without looking it up?
Without
6-8 hours?
Yeah, no thanks. I'm done with school.
Really? All right. Gonna pass on that one?
I will. I'll let you tell me.
All right. And that's what's happening in the world of sports. We'll do a little game show with Chris coming up in about 30 minutes. We come back and we do a couple things in football. And who wants to get Chris upset? Who wants to get Chris upset?
Why?
I do.
Of course you do.
I do. We'll do a couple of things in the NFL, and then I want to get Chris upset, and we'll do that next. Bit of sports on this Wednesday. Glad you're with us. Whether you're listening FM 96.9, AM 740, the iHeart app, or on the YouTube stream, which you can get to via Twitter, 96.9 Game On, or go to YouTube and click on our page and the live icon and hang out with us over there in the stream. I want to do a couple of quick things in football, and then I'm going to get Chris upset.
Yeah, because you love doing that.
I do. Kind of gets you, riled up and everything. But,
we were friends.
Wow. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nothing.
yeah, I call it that. Whatever you want.
Wow.
Yeah. So a couple quarterback things.
Okay.
Yeah, the Cardinals that told Kyler Murray that he's getting released. Okay. The Colts put the transition tag on Daniel Jones, which basically means they can match an offer. He's free to go and find offers. You and I talked yesterday. I don't know what the market's going to be for him.
I would imagine it's only Indianapolis.
Is Kyler Murray about to be the next quarterback? And I admit I don't have a list of like 5 to compare. That just because the market's what it is, we're going to forget why it ended in Arizona and suddenly increase his value? Like, why is he not the Cardinals quarterback anymore?
I don't think he put up good numbers, but it never really materialized into wins. I think they made the playoffs, twice
right
during his time in Arizona.
And it also wasn't sustainable from the one year we thought, oh, this is really special. And it may have been a little bit of the Cliff Kingsbury system. The point is, though, that it just wasn't working anymore.
I also think maybe a lot of his off-field Call of Duty.
Right. So is he now going to be overvalued on a market since they've made the move to make him available? The Tua thing is going to be more about timing for him, because if he is free, that ain't going to happen until after the free agency period. And
he'll be a post-June 1 cut.
Right. So the interesting comparison of the NFL and the NBA, and I've heard both. Did you just snort?
I tried to.
Good grief, man. And this has been debated too. In the NFL, it's free agency, then the draft. In the NBA, it's the draft, then free agency. And I've heard both arguments. Some teams want to say, no, I'd rather go through the free agency first to know what I don't have. And others say, well, if I do the draft, then so I don't know what's the perfect system for it, but in the NFL, it's free agency, then the draft. And then there's like another mini wave of free agency because of post-June 1 roster moves. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Can I throw another interesting question to you?
Yes.
Who's got the first pick of the draft?
The Raiders.
The Raiders need what?
A lot.
Okay.
But more specifically, quarterback.
Okay. So the Raiders have quickly got out of the Pete Carroll run. That didn't work. They've chosen an offensive guy from the Super Bowl champions to be their coach. They need a quarterback. If you're the Raiders, what if, in your evaluation, because I think you'll agree with this, and everybody, I think, knows this, every NFL team is going to rank players available in the draft based on their own evaluation, regardless of position. Just be like, hey, these are the best players in the draft. I think we all know that just because you're picked first, second, third, or fourth doesn't mean that you're the first, second, third, or fourth best player in the draft.
Correct. The
quarterback position has the biggest difference often in when a person gets drafted to where they rank on a draft board. People talk about the big board. And if you take about 400 players, that's usually about the number that are evaluated to being drafted, you might find a quarterback that's ranked 37th that ends up going in the top 15 because of our obsession and need for quarterbacks. I'm going to ask Cam Mello this tomorrow for his weekly football segment, and we'll do it leading up to the draft with draft people, is where does Fernando Mendoza rank as we continue to go through the evaluation process? People seem to be pretty set on he's the best quarterback of a weak class, where either Ty Simpson in Alabama and Garrett Nussmeier had a good combine week, is going to be the second or third quarterback taken. If Fernando Mendoza, I'm going to make up a number here, is the 15th or 22nd best prospect behind everybody else, David Bailey at Texas Tech, Carnell Tate, everybody, Caleb Downs, everybody, why would you draft him if you're the Raiders? And let's say on your draft board, when we got a new regime, on your draft board, he's 22nd. Why would you draft him number one?
Because we all know the franchises only go as far as a quarterback will take you.
Yep.
So
okay,
the Raiders don't have a quarterback.
Okay, but let me just again. You'll agree, teams all have different goals and agendas if you're trying to be realistic. Okay, I'll be realistic about the Giants, for example. I just want them to be more competitive next year. I have no vision of winning a Super Bowl. Okay. It's a different view in Seattle. It's a different view in Kansas City and in Buffalo. So teams are in different positions. No one expects the Raiders to play for championship next year.
Correct.
And I agree with you about the quarterback position. You got to keep trying to get it right. Mm-hmm. And this isn't picking on Mendoza. But if you don't think he's a top 20 prospect and you have the first pick of the draft, just because, well, you got to take a quarterback, why would you do that? If he's clearly not one of the top 20 guys in your evaluation, and either A, not saying he'll be drafted 20, but the first pick has value, and you moved out of it, and you figured something out at the quarterback position, and in 2027, projected to be one of those, quote, special classes, say, maybe that's the right time to do it. Why would you draft somebody? And by the way, the Raiders may conclude he's the fourth best player in the draft, and therefore we're taking him at number one. We think he's a franchise quarterback, and that may end up being the right decision. But as I start to look more at draft stuff, no one thinks he's a top 10 prospect.
Well, and you kind of answered the way I was going to answer it is maybe the Raiders do view him not as a top 20, 25 prospect, but as a top 5, top whatever, inside the top 10 kind of a prospect. And again, they need a quarterback. They have a new coach. Maybe Clint Kubiak wants Fernando Mendoza. They want to build around him. They have a young piece in Ashton Genty.
Well, if that's the case, take him. I'm just saying, though, if you begin to conclude your evaluation, which is going to take time now, and he's not anywhere near that, and you're more hope by saying, well, we'll get him in here and we'll make him. Like, I'm going to ask Cam this tomorrow, and it's almost foolish to go, well, where would he rank in next year's class? Because you're projecting what people think is going to be a really good quarterback class for next year. But if I go back to the Drake May, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels draft, he's not in the top 3 of quarterbacks, right? So are we then taking someone in a subpar quarterback class and overranking them because of our obsession to find the franchise quarterback?
But Mark, you know what it is. You know the reason why, even if Fernando Mendoza is not considered a top 20, top X, whatever prospect, it's the lack of patience by a fan base, by an ownership group, by everything.
Chris, you're right. I'm just saying, though, and the Raiders have no credibility just because of how the organization's been run for years. They have no credibility. There's something, though, to be disciplined. Look, we talked about it with the Dolphins. Okay, now they're in a different situation because of cap money with Tua. But whatever decision they make on Tua, is it better for Miami to figure out Quinn Ewers and bring in somebody else if you're not going to get Malik? And by the way, don't sign Malik Willis unless you think that's our franchise quarterback and we're going to pay him, which doesn't make sense because the dollars. So the expectation isn't for Miami to win the division next year. The expectation is to have a new regime come in and begin to change the culture and to find draft assets and things like that. Fans aren't stupid. And I think a Dolphin fan already knows next year it ain't going to be pretty. Maybe they win 5. Maybe they win 3. So discipline yourself to not be stupid in overpaying for something that isn't a long-term answer. And again, I'm not trying to diss Fernando Mendoza. As a college football fan, I loved watching him play, and in those big games, big moments, he was great. But if you don't have him ranked high, why would you draft him at number one? Some teams are stupid. Maybe the Raiders are still stupid, and maybe you've got a coach that think, I can work with that. Then fine, draft him.
If you're the Raiders and you don't view Fernando Mendoza as a top 25 prospect,
I'm trading.
You have the number one pick.
I'm trading.
Nobody wants to trade up to number one because everyone that would want to trade up. They want a quarterback.
But you can acknowledge you don't know that either.
Right.
If I'm the Raiders and I say I'm open for business, somebody's going to want it. And again, I'm just throwing a scenario. Let's say I move out of the first spot and I end up sliding down, whatever. I'm drafting 8th, and I picked up a late second, and I picked up a 3rd next year. That does nothing to excite your fans that love the thrill of taking a quarterback, but it may be the smart football move because the Raiders need so much. You're building draft capital. You're giving yourself a better chance to grab more players that you hope you get it right on, as opposed to a quarterback that you're like, he's the best of this bunch. I mean, the Raiders don't need their franchise quarterback this season. You got to get it right at some point, but you don't have to have it this season.
I'm just looking at their depth chart right now. I don't know if they've officially released Geno Smith yet, but it's
he's I think he's got to be. No, I think he has to be. He's got one more year. I think he's got to be the cut.
So then you have Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, and Aiden O'Connell as your quarterbacks right now for Vegas.
Yeah. So,
do you really want to go through another year of 3 wins, 4 wins? Do you want to risk? Because Max Crosby now wants out.
Okay, I kind of get the honeymoon period with a brand new coach and a, quote, brand new regime there. And I've got to ride that honeymoon, and you have to be disciplined and go, I'm not going to make a stupid pick if I don't think he's worth it, because we're not going to win 15 games this year. I understand what you're saying, and that's why some organizations cave to the PR image of it, and it's like, well, like if anybody in the room ends up going, well, I guess we'll take him, then that's a bad pick. That's a bad pick. That's what it comes down to. Let me pivot to something else.
Oh, boy.
So Chris, Chris got upset. I saw this on Twitter yesterday and made a note to bring it up in the bridge today, and Chris happened to be sitting in here. And I thought it was a joke. I thought somebody just put together this graphic and put it up there about a 9-year-old entering the youth football transfer portal. By the way, there is no such thing. But there is, I guess, a 9-year-old who lives in the Orlando area who has an Instagram page. How many followers, by the way?
God, hold on.
And
I'm mad at Kelly for sending me this, by the way.
With the dad announced that he's entering the transfer or looking for a new place to play.
Over 4,300.
See?
What?
Tonka Rodriguez, class of 2036.
Stop calling him that.
My man Tonka, 4'2", 4'2", 85 pounds. Listed as an offensive lineman, middle linebacker, defensive lineman, and kicker. You got to respect the versatility, Chris. Guy plays both ways. Did thank his a previous team, but feels like he's looked to move on, and Chris is really upset about it.
This has to be a joke.
Well, you went through the account, and what kind of posting is on there? Like if you go scroll back like last few months. Yeah.
It's just,
I mean, the dad's behind it.
Of course he is. Mm-hmm. It's just pictures of him kind of flexing in football jerseys.
Yeah.
Holding up jerseys. And
have you come across the merch line yet or not yet?
No.
No?
The 9th annual Coach Mac National Youth All-American Bowl.
They don't just pick anybody for that, man. Yeah. Yeah.
This is.
So Chris is bothered by it.
What are we? The dad needs to be arrested.
Oh, stop. Come on.
What are we doing?
Listen, tongue in cheek to a degree, but it's harmless to me. I guess my question is,
not harmless.
No. I guess my question is, how does he have over 4,000 followers? I mean, seriously. I mean, you have to click on follow, right?
Yes.
Now, you can throw it half because they're bots. So, I mean, okay, but even 2,000.
He's also following over 4,300. Okay, and I hate that we measure followers and how many.
Okay. Can I just walk you through something, though?
I'm not going to like it, but sure.
No. In Miami Pop Warner football for kids, and I forget who did the story, but people have written about it. There was, I don't know if it was a documentary, but somebody did a show about it. Do you know what Saturdays on some of those youth football fields are like? No, Chris. The legit hardcore gambling that takes place.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
On Pop Warner games.
I'm dead serious. Yes, I will send you the story. That you've got 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old football teams with coaches that know that there's a lot of money riding on games. I mean, that's a long, well-known story in South Florida that's been going on. So I bring it back to that's where it comes from. Like you laugh about parents. Yes, of course it is. It's insane if you're out there trying to market NIL opportunities for a 9-year-old. But I'm just telling you, that's the world that some people live in. And I gave you the example. We were talking about it last week. That you look at it as a team sport differently than an individual sport. Because as kids begin to grow up, it is a reality that's out there. It doesn't mean it's clean. It doesn't mean that it's like the ethical thing to do. But there are parents that are going to invest. Like, okay, can I ask you this question? Do you see anything wrong in the financially secured parents that provide their son or daughter with the best training and the best teams to play on to give their kids an opportunity to advance their skill set to someday maybe elevate themselves to play college and professionally? Is there something wrong with that?
So you're using your money to invest.
I'm not telling you about like social media accounts and just a well-off family whose mom and dad has 4 kids, and they can afford to send their kids to the best schools, private schools, to invest in trainers, and to have them play in the best teams, whether that be travel ball or best leagues, because they want to give them the opportunity, and they're not helicopter parents. They'll let them compete, and their hands off. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. So what's the difference?
Between what, Tonka and the hands-off parent?
Thanks for calling him Tonka. Yeah, what's the difference?
What do you mean, what's the difference?
I'm asking you, what's the difference between the two? Hold on before you answer. I'll throw more of my attempt to persuade you. Is one, you see nothing wrong because you're saying, hey, they have the money to do it, so there's nothing wrong in doing that. I don't have a problem with that. Versus somebody that says, listen, I want to find the best places for my kid to play. And if my kid's talented, I want them to play with the best. And if people are willing to follow that storyline, and if it's possible that someone wants to come and help us financially to do that, I'm all in it.
You're pimping out your 9-year-old kid because you want to feel like you're important and you want to make it seem like, oh, I'm representing the best of the best.
Okay, but hold on. I understand that's a strong word that you said, but I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to ride the coattails of your kid with the hope that someday you'll financially make it. Okay, can I ask you this question? Single family mother in Shreveport, Louisiana. Her 11-year-old son is blessed with football talent. She sees when he plays Pop Warner football, he's the best player on the field. Okay? She works 80 hours a week to put food on the table for her kids and struggles and recognizes that in the football world, she can benefit from her son with this incredible talent. He becomes 13 and he's persuaded to go play for the team across town because they're a really good football team, because that coach knows coaches at LSU. And the goal is to maybe have her baby go play at LSU, because at LSU now they pay football players. And by paying football players, we can get out of the situation that we're in. And God bless if the dream ever happened to go to the NFL. So she works to do what she can to get that kid to play on all the different teams. Is she the same?
Yes, to a degree.
But her story's different.
Her story's different, but it's still the same.
But do you understand what I'm saying, though? Everyone's got a different background. It comes across as sleazy to some because you see the marketing of it on social media. I'm not telling you that it's not a bit sleazy, but everybody's got a different agenda. And the idea of taking advantage of our kids is something that most people don't think of. But I'm just giving you an example that does happen every single day.
And it's
and you may say, well, 9's ridiculous to think that. 15, okay, they're in high school, but I'm just telling you, the system has brought it down to such a fact that, remember, I brought the story. The top 9-year-old baseball players are being ranked. I'm not telling you it's right. I'm just telling you that's the system that's been created.
It's ridiculous the amount of pressure
Yes.
that's being put on kids.
Sure.
They can't be kids.
Yeah.
And us as parents, we are so focused on the money. But all that matters is the money.
No, but Chris, can you understand? I gave you 3 examples right there. Parents that are well off financially that are not looking to gain anything out of their kids financially. Okay. Maybe the dirty dad that sees his kid as a gravy train, and then the hardworking single family mother that also sees a dream. Each has a different story. Some have nothing to gain. Some see an out to their struggles by their kids' athletic ability. Others may see it as a gravy train. Everyone's got a different story. And the system has been created to allow all those stories to exist. I'm not telling you it's all right. I'm just telling you that that's what's happened. Fair or not?
I just think it's ridiculous for kids. And I get every situation is different, but essentially the kids are either being punished or maybe not punished. Maybe punished isn't the right word, but I'll just use it for now. Punished for decisions that we made as parents leading up to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Happens. It happens. And again, I'm not telling you it's right. The number of kids that just want to go play to have fun is being reduced because we're eliminating those leagues. And that's part of the problem of youth sports is that, kid signs up to play Little League Baseball because it's fun. He wants to play with his friends at school and everything. We're losing those leagues because you have to commit to play travel ball and your parents have to spend money and all that stuff. That's on the system. That trickles down to 9-year-olds who just want to be kids. And you're like, well, why can't we do that? Well, you can't. Come back. We'll make Chris a little bit happier. We'll play a game show next. Chris, before we do a quick game show, can I just give a shout out?
Yes.
Years ago, and I don't know the exact year, I met Jason Benetti when he was doing games in the American for ESPN. I think people know Jason's story. And I met this guy, and we just, I see him at UCF games, we talk and everything. And I learned about Jason's story and then just respected the way he went about his business and working at it. And obviously has gone on to have great success working at Fox and calling MLB games and everything. He's going to be NBC's main baseball voice.
I saw that.
And I couldn't be happier because he's like such a genuine, nice guy. Not because of the things he's overcome in life, which, yes, is a part of it, but he's just a genuine, nice guy. And it's so easy to root for nice guys. And I'm so happy for him.
That's such an underrated trait in people is being genuine.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
I can always appreciate that.
I got to meet Adam Amin over the years, and Adam's gone into great success. And like I love those stories of guys, and I say this with the utmost praise of not jealous as I might do it. I'm so happy for them, and I'm jealous because, yeah, it'd be great to have that, but I couldn't be happier for them. So I love Jason, and was so happy to see that story this morning. Let's do cheesy game show, Chris. Yeah. Here's Chris Vasquez today, all the way from Des Moines, Iowa. He's going to win some prizes for us today in the pit.
All right.
Hey, true or false?
Okay.
True or false? True or false? The Magic are going to earn a 5th seed with a strong finish in the East.
Unfortunately, that is false. You can't, given everything that the Magic have been through this year with injuries, the inconsistent play, not just as a team, but from Paolo, from Desmond Bane, who actually has been playing well as of late, but just too many inconsistencies, too much injuries, a tough schedule down the stretch. We mentioned it earlier. Just too much for the Magic to overcome. I think they're going to be locked into that 7 to 10 seed and have to go through the play-in to make the NBA playoffs.
Glass half empty guy.
Well, I'm glad it's still
true
back up to half.
Or false, Chris? The UCF Knights are going to go to West Virginia, beat the Mountaineers. TCU is going to lose their game against Cincinnati, and somehow the Knights will still end up as a 6th seed in the Big 12 tournament.
I'm going to say true. I know UCF, I believe, owes West Virginia.
You watched the last 2 games we played?
I believe UCF owes West Virginia some revenge. So end the season on a high note. I can't speak on TCU Cincinnati game, but end the season strong, earn that top 6 seed, earn a bye in the Big 12 tournament.
He pitched yesterday for the Americans in the game against the San Francisco Giants for Team USA, the World Baseball Classic, to get underway. Paul Skeens is going to increase his brand because he's committed to pitch for Team USA throughout the World Baseball Classic, unlike Tarek Skubal, who's decided he's going to get me for 55 pitches, then I'm leaving. True or false?
I'm going to say false. His brand, I think, will stay the same, mainly because he's a Pittsburgh Pirate. And as great as pitching in the World Baseball Classic and, staying with them from start to finish is great, I think more people care about what he does during the MLB regular season and postseason. And as long as he's a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates, I just don't see his brand really increasing all that much.
Even though the World Baseball Classic is not the same level as Olympic hockey, if I took 100 people right now that said they're sports fans, how many know who Jack Hughes plays for in the NHL?
I told you this last time. None.
Okay, people know who Jack Hughes is.
They know who Jack Hughes is.
See,
but again, that's why hockey viewership is not going to increase.
You may be right, but can I throw something that kind of tries to tilt you the other way?
Yes.
Right? We got a couple years ago Ohtani pitching to Trout. Can I entertain you to the thought of the 9th inning and we need to get 3 outs with a 3-2 lead, and Skeens says he wants the ball to pitch the 9th and Ohtani's due up?
Okay.
Oh, my God.
I don't think that's...
I have chills right now thinking about that.
I don't think it's going to increase his brand, though.
Versus Un-American.
Stop it.
True or false? Geno Smith is going to be a starting quarterback for at least 10 games
False.
in the 2026
False.
NFL season.
False. No way. No way. He will go back to being what he's been for most of his career, which is a backup. Unfortunate, he had, a little bit of success in Seattle, but not all of it was his fault, but I think he took 50 some sacks as a quarterback for the Raiders. He just had no protection, but even when he was getting protection, he wasn't that good. And he is I think he's just better off as a backup.
True or false? Kirk Cousins is going to start 9 games for somebody
False.
this season.
False. He I mean, I don't see it. He wasn't that good in Atlanta, and they have weapons. And he was benched for Michael Penix. I don't see any way you're starting him for 9 games as a starter anywhere. Even back in Minnesota, I don't see it happening. For as bad as JJ McCarthy was, I don't see it happening.
True or false? Kyler Murray, getting released by the Cardinals, will shock the sports world by announcing he wants to try baseball after being a top 10 draft pick in, I think, 2018.
False. I think Kyler Murray can ball. He's a pretty decent quarterback. And if you would have said Kyler Murray will start 10 games or 9 games, that I would have bought into. I think he will be a starter somewhere. And I think his best bet to start will, if it's not going to be the Colts, I think maybe the New York Jets, because Aaron Glenn's going to be coaching for his job. So I do see Kyler Murray as a starter in the NFL next season.
To this date, he's hit the longest ball at UCF I've ever seen, just to dead center field when he came here with Oklahoma. I was like, good God, that's still going. True or false? Chris Vasquez will be eating something in bed tonight that will annoy his wife.
I actually tried to eat Pop-Tarts in bed last night. Got the kibosh put on that. I ended up eating watermelon. I ate some watermelon.
In bed. Oh, my God.
What is wrong with
the Pop-Tarts was because of crumbs, right?
Well, she didn't want me to do the wrapper. The wrapper is going to make noise.
Why can't you open the wrapper, put it on like a paper towel?
What does it matter?
So you ended up with watermelon?
Yes.
Yeah, but you're
even again opening the.
But you're big, loud biters, so it probably was annoying. Wait, you get watermelon with seeds? Oh, then you're spitting the seeds out?
No. Eat the seeds.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh my God. That's true or false?
What?
Eat the watermelon seeds?
Why?
Don't you believe in that theory? It's going to grow in your stomach?
I would have been dead long ago.
Come back, put a wrap on the Wednesday show next.
Time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends. Ooh.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
So Tyson Chicken, another one of the big Arkansas-based corporations, is going to put their logo on all Arkansas teams for a large amount of money. It's like, was having a conversation where somebody was, emotional about UCF basketball the last couple of days of me last night as I was leaving. Yeah, at Arkansas, 4 billionaires that run that company are giving 8 to 9 figures to Arkansas.
Why don't we see more schools with the branding patches?
Well, you are, because it's allowed now. Okay, and Arkansas, gee, we'll go to Walmart or Tyson. Yeah, they give 9 figures a year to the school, so sure. Anyway, we're going to do a Beat of Sports Overtime with the YouTube stream. Go over and check it out. Hang out with us a little bit if you want. Miss any of the program, go to your favorite podcast, put in the Beat of Sports on demand, or access the YouTube page to watch the show back whenever it's convenient for you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Mark.
See you tomorrow for the Beat of Sports.
And we're back.
Do you know of the show Little House on the Prairie?
Never watched it, but I know of it.
I didn't know that they brought it back and like a season 2 is coming on Netflix.
Of course. No, there's no original ideas.
It's got nothing to do with that. It's just always felt. Now I grew up when Little House on the Prairie in its original form was out, along with the Waltons. You know what the Waltons is, right?
No.
Oh, you're gonna look that up. That show also aired. They're like the most depressing shows ever. Like these families that have nothing. Like in Little House on the Prairie, they're just wandering in their wagon and all these storylines. That, like settle somewhere and dad get a job. And
well, doesn't it take place in like the 50s or something? Like, isn't it like old time?
No, those shows go way back. Longer than that.
Oh, okay. Well,
what's your like when you grew up? What was your favorite TV shows?
What did I watch?
Because most of the stuff when I was a kid that our parents watched, you couldn't get on air today. I mean, it's impossible. All in the Family would not get approved to be on air today, and things like that.
I mean,
like Happy Days was big when I was growing up.
Growing up, I was a cartoons watch. It was either cartoons or sports, really.
Yeah.
So like Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Cat Dog, Ed, Ed and Eddie. As I got older, I wasn't allowed to watch
back and think of the concept of Cat Dog. You're like, got an idea for the show. Hear me out, okay? Half cat, half dog, and they kind of play off each other. I like it. Yeah.
As I got older, and to this day, I still think it's one of the greatest shows of all time, South Park. I think South Park is one of the greatest shows of all time.
Okay, but that wasn't really developed for kids.
No.
Yeah. No, I think I've told you, I've chosen Family Guy.
Yes. Family Guy is still great, too.
And you believe that there's a Simpsons, South Park, Family Guy, and you have to pick?
No.
No?
I think you can enjoy all three. I used to like The Simpsons growing up as well.
Now, do you remember how The Simpsons originated?
Mm-mm.
Part of the Tracy Ullman show on Fox when Fox came out as a network. And they were shorts within her variety show. That's how The Simpsons was born. So she would do like these different skits, variety show, and then they would have these little shorts of The Simpsons that would air. And it's like, oh, there's that cartoon thing. And then they said, let's make it a show.
Well, it's great. So you mentioned the three, South Park, Simpsons, and Family Guy. Family Guy and South Park are almost similar in the sense that they just make fun of current events. Where The Simpsons are more of like they were way ahead of their time in all these predictions about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Kind of scary.
The ability, though, of an animated show is no one ages. The Simpsons been around for 30 years. And Bart's still the same age.
Well, it's the same. It's the same with all these shows.
Yeah,
they don't grow up.
Well, but if it's not animated, I mean, the kids do get older. See, it's going to be fascinating as you get older with your daughter, and you'll see the shows that she watches, and it'll be cute. You'll see her have fun and dance, and then you can say to yourself, well, "This is stupid." But although I remember, and I miss. I mean, again, my youngest daughter's 29 today. My oldest daughter's going to be 31. I miss the days of like Blue's Clues was big when my kids were young. Big. And I miss sitting there singing along with the kids. And, there's Steve, and we're sitting on the couch and all the different characters and stuff. And again, my kids were young when Barney.
Yeah.
And going to Universal to the Barney show was like the greatest thing ever.
Well, it's so crazy now. And I see all these videos. I don't know if they're just conspiracy theories or what Nickelodeon's done, like the hidden meanings behind like SpongeBob SquarePants and Rugrats and what Barney is.
You go down that black hole. The only thing that I do believe, and there's been enough documentaries on it, is just some of the stuff that went on some of those shows with the kids, the child abuse, and all that stuff. That's kind of
like, I don't know if I want my daughter watching any of that.
Yeah. Let's do a little bit of sports.
Yeah.
We just did all these.
So Mississippi, they just passed something to kind of eliminate
NIL payments will be tax free. Well, hold on. You can't. Florida, there is no tax. You don't pay the tax here, so Florida already has that. Mississippi is going to make it for athletes. So if you're the hardworking teacher, janitor,
first
mechanic, first responder, yeah,
it's frustrating.
No question. No question. I don't argue that. And if you go read the lawmaker who sponsored the bill, gives his reason why, trying to tell you that, well, football's good for the state. The football team does really well. Yeah.
Can
I quickly go back to the discussion we're having about Fernando Mendoza?
Yes.
And the Raiders passing on him. I don't have. Do you have? What's the draft order? Hold on, I got it here. So Raiders, Jets. Okay. Raiders, Jets, Cardinals, not the Titans. So the first three teams you can make a case need a quarterback. The Jets need a quarterback.
Yes. They won't take one though.
Why?
I told you I think they're going to be on the Kyler Murray business.
Okay. All right. So Cardinals
need a quarterback, won't take one.
Okay. Titans won't.
Nope.
Panthers won't.
I got the.
Would the Browns be interested?
I got the Giants at 5, not the Panthers.
The Giants were 7.
I got the Commanders at 7.
I'm looking at the wrong order. Trying to figure out teams that because okay. Let me go back then. You said the Jets, the Cardinals.
So I got Raiders, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, Giants.
Would the Browns draft Fernando Mendoza?
If he's available, yeah, I could see them doing it. But he won't be available.
I'm sorry, you're right. Giants 5, Browns 6. No. If they had a chance to draft Mendoza, do you think they would draft him?
Yes.
Okay. So is that my first team going down? That you think would be interested?
Yes.
Okay. Commanders? No.
Saints? No.
Saints? No.
Chiefs? No. Bengals? No. Dolphins? Maybe.
I'm just trying to figure what the market would be. By the way, the Chiefs drafting him would be phenomenal. They have other needs, though, but you could draft if you think he could sit for 2. Because remember, they did it with Mahomes. They sat him for the year behind Alex Smith. But my point is, again, if you don't think he's so special, why would you use a first-round pick on him? Now, the market may not be that great, which is what the Raiders have to decide on also for him.
Look, I told you why he's going to get drafted. You know he's going to get drafted. It's a horrible.
Do you think it's feasible that he doesn't get picked at 1? Although no one predicts that.
No.
Okay.
He's going to be the number 1 pick.
Okay.
And I think that's a pretty foregone conclusion.
All right.
Now, maybe if it wasn't a new head coach, maybe if they were still sticking with Pete Carroll, maybe they go the veteran route. But because Pete Carroll's gone.
Okay, but what if that coach isn't sold on him? Just because people think he has to be the number 1 pick of the draft, what if Clint Kubiak's like, I like him, but I don't know if I want to take him here at 1?
then he would have to find someone to trade down with.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then they've kept it very close to the vest because usually all this stuff's out in the open.
Yeah, it's still early. Come on. I mean, if you get to the end of March and April, but, new regime, man, new attitude.
We got, 6 weeks to the draft?
I sound like I'm anti-Mendoza here,
You
right?
do.
I like him. I'm just saying, if you think he was the fourth quarterback going back to the class of 2 years ago, and if you think he was in next year's class, would he be a slam dunk number one? I don't know. Maybe.
So it's similar to how you're not the biggest fan of comparing eras in the NBA. We can't compare quarterbacks in different draft classes. Like, why do we do that?
Okay, but don't you think there's a difference if I'm talking about 1 or 2 years versus 15 years ago?
There is, but why do we do that? Fernando Mendoza is not in the previous class or a future class.
Okay,
he's in this class.
Okay, I'm going to ask you as a fan and observer, and not calling you out. You watch more NFL football than college football.
Yes.
Okay, do you think Fernando Mendoza is special? Like, I mean, wow, that's really special.
Not really.
Okay, if I have the number one pick in the draft, don't I owe it to the organization to take someone that I think is just really special to some degree, regardless of position? And the Raiders have needs all over the place. That's all I'm saying.
So then you would be okay if they either took someone else or traded back, did not draft Fernando Mendoza this year.
Yeah.
Potentially sucking next year because more than likely, especially if they don't have a quarterback.
How much better are they going to be with him? I don't know that. How much better are they going to be with him?
We think at the beginning of this season that this quarterback class was going to be great, and it turned out to be not. Who's to say the same thing won't happen next year?
I mean, you're right about that. I'm just saying, if you don't think he's wow special, now you're just overdrafting the position.
Do we think every single quarterback that gets drafted is wow special?
I think a couple years ago we did with that group. But you are right.
Did we think Cam Ward was wow special?
I don't know about wow special.
Okay.
Look, you may be right. And next year's class may be projected to be special, but let's see how the season goes. Because, like Garrett Nussmeier, to me, he's fascinating in this draft. A couple years ago, they couldn't run the ball. They had, every lineman got drafted, but they couldn't run the ball, okay? And he looked like he was going to be really good. And then this year, combination of injuries and ineffective offense, and then he goes to the combine, and I admit we're overvaluing the combine. He has 4 good days, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe there's – and so that happens. And maybe the 27 draft class is not going to look as special by the time we get 1 year from now.
Like, it's funny that we're already putting Arch Manning back in the Heisman vote.
Oh, number 1 pick tomorrow.
What?
Number 1 pick tomorrow.
What made you
give
look
Sark another year with him?
What made you think after this year he's going to get better?
Same deal with Lenora Sellers at South Carolina, who people before this year thought he's going to be a top 10 pick. He wasn't very good, wasn't completely healthy, but next year he's going to get it all right. Okay, maybe.
How long do we keep doing that and pushing?
I'm going to ride this Mendoza thing to the draft. I'm just telling you right now. I'm going to ride this thing to the draft.
That's fine. Yeah. We're here for it.
All right. See you for Thursday's show. Bye-bye.